Have you ever wondered why some people work harder every year, pray with greater passion, give more effort than anyone around them, and still watch opportunities disappear as if an invisible hand keeps closing every door? What if the greatest barrier to abundance is not your education, your background, your economy, or even your enemies? What if one hidden sin silently shuts the gate to every blessing you have been asking for? Stay with me, because what you are about to hear could completely change the way you think about money, purpose, and the condition of your heart. Listen carefully. Wealth is never the true destination. It is a tool. It is a responsibility. It is a test. The Creator never intended money to become your master. He intended it to become your servant. Yet countless people chase the servant while ignoring the master. They pursue possessions while neglecting the principles that produce lasting prosperity. Then they wonder why everything they touch slips through their fingers. The ancient teachings reveal a powerful truth. Every visible result begins with an invisible condition. Before a harvest appears in the field, a seed is planted beneath the soil. Before abundance reaches your hands, integrity must already live inside your heart. The world teaches you to chase more. Heaven teaches you to become more. One focuses on possession, the other focuses on transformation. There is one sin that quietly poisons both. It rarely announces itself. It hides behind ambition. It disguises itself as wisdom. It even pretends to be responsible planning. But beneath the surface, it whispers one destructive message: trust yourself more than God. That whisper becomes pride. Pride convinces people they are the source of every blessing. It forgets the one who gives strength, wisdom, creativity, and opportunity. The moment pride enters, gratitude leaves. When gratitude leaves, stewardship begins to die. Think about the farmer who receives fertile land, but refuses to honor the one who provided the rain. Eventually, he believes the harvest belongs entirely to him. His confidence turns into arrogance. His abundance becomes an idol. What once was a blessing slowly becomes a burden because he has disconnected prosperity from its true source. Ask yourself a difficult question today. If every dollar vanished tomorrow, would your faith remain unshaken? If the answer is no, then money has quietly taken a place it was never meant to occupy. That is where every journey toward true abundance must begin, because before wealth can safely increase, the heart must first be prepared to carry it. What if the greatest financial battle is not happening in your wallet, but inside your heart? Most people spend their lives trying to increase their income, but very few stop to examine the beliefs directing every financial decision they make. The ancient wisdom of the Torah teaches that prosperity begins long before money enters your hands. It begins with the condition of your spirit. If the foundation is cracked, no amount of success can keep the house standing. This is why some people gain wealth only to lose peace, relationships, and even their purpose. Imagine a traveler crossing a vast desert, carrying a bag filled with gold. Every day he counts his coins with excitement, convinced they guarantee his future. Yet he ignores the water, slowly leaking from his only container. By the time he reaches the end of the journey, he still has every piece of gold, but he has lost the one thing that could keep him alive. Many people treat wealth the same way. They guard their money while neglecting the character that sustains true abundance. They become experts at accumulating resources, but remain strangers to wisdom, humility, and obedience. The hidden sin grows stronger every time a person believes possessions define their value. It whispers that more money will finally make them secure, respected, and complete. Soon every decision revolves around gaining more, protecting more, and displaying more. Generosity begins to disappear. Compassion becomes inconvenient. Gratitude is replaced by entitlement. Without realizing it, the blessing has become the object of worship. The Creator never condemned honest wealth. Throughout Scripture, faithful men and women were entrusted with great resources because they understood that ownership ultimately belongs to God. They saw themselves as stewards rather than masters. Everything they received carried a purpose beyond personal comfort. Their success became a channel of blessing instead of a monument to themselves. Now picture two builders constructing identical homes. One spends all his time decorating the walls while ignoring the foundation beneath the ground. The other patiently strengthens the base before adding beauty above it. When the storm arrives, the difference becomes obvious. One house collapses despite its appearance. The other stands firm because what could not be seen was built with care. Your financial future follows the same principle. Invisible convictions produce visible results. Before the Creator expands your capacity to receive, He examines your willingness to steward what you already have. Every small decision reveals the direction of your heart. The question is no longer whether you desire abundance. The real question is whether your heart can remain faithful when abundance finally arrives. Because lasting prosperity always follows faithful stewardship, never the other way around. Have you noticed that the people who become consumed by money rarely feel they have enough? The numbers increase, the possessions multiply, the opportunities expand, yet satisfaction keeps moving farther away. It is like chasing the horizon. Every step forward creates the illusion that fulfillment is just beyond the next achievement. This is one of the greatest deceptions the human heart can believe. Wealth was never designed to satisfy the soul. It can purchase comfort, but it cannot purchase purpose. It can build a house, but it cannot create a home. It can fill a bank account, but it cannot fill an empty spirit. The Torah repeatedly reminds us to remember the one who gives the power to produce wealth. That instruction exists because forgetting is natural. Success has a subtle way of rewriting our memories. We begin to believe our intelligence alone opened every door. We credit our discipline, our talent, our connections, and our hard work, while quietly overlooking the countless moments of grace that made every opportunity possible. Pride rarely arrives with loud words. It slips into the heart through silent assumptions. Picture a young shepherd who receives a flock from his father. At first, he cares for every sheep with gratitude because he remembers having nothing. As the years pass, the flock grows larger than he ever imagined. His gratitude slowly fades. Instead of seeing the sheep as a gift, he begins seeing them as proof of his own greatness. He stops listening to wise counsel. He ignores warnings. He becomes careless because he believes nothing can threaten his success. One season of neglect changes everything. Disease spreads through the flock, and the wealth he spent years building disappears because pride convinced him he no longer needed wisdom. Life often follows the same pattern. The greatest danger is not failure. Failure usually drives people back toward humility. The greater danger is success without gratitude. Success without gratitude creates self-reliance. Self-reliance slowly pushes God out of the center of life until achievements become idols and accomplishments replace worship. Ask yourself another honest question. When something good happens in your life, who receives the first credit? Do you immediately recognize the Creator's hand, or do you instinctively celebrate yourself? That simple response reveals more about your heart than any financial statement ever could. Real abundance is not measured only by what enters your hands. It is measured by what remains in your heart while your hands are being filled. The Creator is looking for people who can carry success without becoming controlled by it, who can gain influence without losing humility, and who can increase in wealth while continuing to kneel in gratitude. Those are the people who discover that true prosperity is not merely having more, but becoming more with every blessing entrusted to them. Many people think the greatest enemy of financial breakthrough is a lack of opportunity, but sometimes the greatest enemy is a heart that has not learned the discipline of stewardship. A person can receive a small amount and multiply it through wisdom, while another can receive millions and destroy it through careless decisions. The difference is not always the amount of money. The difference is the mindset behind the money. Imagine two people receiving the same seed. One person studies the soil, protects the seed, waters it consistently, and patiently waits for the harvest. The other person becomes excited and immediately consumes the seed because it looks valuable. One understands potential, the other only sees temporary satisfaction. Years later, one has a field full of harvest, while the other has only memories of what could have been. This is why the condition of the heart matters more than the size of the blessing. Wealth reveals what already exists inside a person. If someone is generous before they have much, they will likely remain generous when they have more. If someone is selfish with little, More resources will only give greater power to that selfishness. Money does not create character, it exposes character. The hidden sin that blocks abundance often begins with misplaced priorities. It is the belief that acquiring is more important than becoming. People sacrifice relationships for possessions. They sacrifice integrity for advancement. They sacrifice peace for recognition. They believe the next promotion, the next opportunity, or the next financial victory will finally bring happiness. But every time they reach the goal, another desire appears. The wisdom of the Torah teaches that blessings come with responsibility. A person who receives increase must also receive greater wisdom. More resources require more discipline. More influence requires more humility. More wealth requires more generosity. Without these qualities, abundance becomes dangerous because the blessing becomes heavier than the person carrying it. Think about a powerful vehicle. A skilled driver can use it to travel great distances safely, but someone without control can turn the same vehicle into a source of destruction. The power was not the problem. The lack of maturity was the problem. Money works the same way. It is not evil, it is powerful, and anything powerful must be handled with wisdom. Today, examine your relationship with what you already have. Do you manage your resources with gratitude? Do you use what you have to create value and help others, or do you constantly complain about what is missing while ignoring what has already been placed in your hands? The path to abundance begins when you stop asking only, "How can I get more?" and start asking, "How can I become someone trusted with more?" Because the greatest increase is not simply a larger possession. The greatest increase is becoming the kind of person who can receive blessings without losing the purpose behind them. The greatest test of prosperity is not when you have nothing. The greatest test comes when you finally have something to lose. When resources are limited, humility often comes naturally because you recognize your need. But when success arrives, when doors open, when people begin celebrating your achievements, a different battle begins inside the heart. The question becomes, will you remember the source of your blessing, or will you begin to believe you are the source? This is where pride becomes dangerous. Pride does not always look like arrogance. Sometimes it appears as independence. It sounds like, "I built this by myself." It whispers, "I do not need advice anymore." It convinces a person that their success gives them permission to ignore wisdom, reject correction, and trust only their own understanding. Consider a king who receives power, wealth, and influence beyond imagination. At the beginning of his journey, he recognizes that his position is a responsibility. He seeks wisdom. He listens to counsel. He understands that leadership is not about being served, but about serving. However, over time, admiration from people begins changing his perspective. He starts believing the praise belongs to him alone. The same blessing that once made him grateful slowly becomes the reason he becomes disconnected. This pattern is repeated throughout history. Many people do not lose their purpose because they failed. They lose it because they succeeded without maintaining humility. They become so focused on protecting their image that they forget protecting their character. They become more concerned with appearing wealthy than becoming wise. The Torah teaches a powerful principle, remember. Remember where you came from. Remember who gave you strength. Remember the lessons learned during difficult seasons. Remember the people who helped you along the way. Remember that every opportunity carries a responsibility. A person who remembers stays grounded. A person who forgets becomes controlled by pride. One sees wealth as a tool to create impact. The other sees wealth as a trophy proving superiority. One asks, "How can I use this blessing to help others?" The other asks, "How can I use this blessing to make myself greater?" The hidden danger is that pride can make a person wealthy in possessions, but poor in spirit. They may have impressive achievements, but no peace. They may have a large audience, but no genuine relationships. They may have everything people can see while losing the things that truly matter. So today, ask yourself, if your success increased tomorrow, would your character increase with it? Would your generosity grow? Would your gratitude deepen? Would your compassion become stronger? Because true abundance is not measured by how much you can collect. It is measured by how much good can flow through you. The Creator does not bless people simply to make them comfortable. He blesses people so they can become channels of wisdom, generosity, and transformation for the world around them. What if the reason some blessings have not arrived yet is because the preparation has not finished? Many people pray for increase, but they do not always pray for the wisdom, discipline, and character required to handle that increase. They ask for a bigger opportunity, but forget that every greater opportunity comes with greater responsibility. A larger harvest requires stronger roots. A higher position requires deeper humility. More influence requires more integrity. The Creator is not only interested in placing resources in your hands, He is interested in transforming the person holding those resources. Because if your character cannot carry the blessing itself can become a burden. A person who receives abundance without wisdom may use it to feed pride, satisfy selfish desires, or create distance from the very purpose they were created to fulfill. Think about a child who finds a treasure chest filled with valuable items. The child may see the beauty and excitement of the treasure, but may not understand its true value or responsibility. A wise parent does not simply hand over everything immediately. The parent teaches maturity first, because the goal is not only to give the treasure. The goal is to prepare the child to manage the treasure correctly. Many people misunderstand delay. They assume delay means rejection, but sometimes delay is preparation. Sometimes the closed door is not punishment, it is protection. Sometimes the waiting season is where wisdom is developed, patience is strengthened, and character is built. The foundation is being prepared before the building rises. The hidden sin that blocks abundance often causes people to reject this process. Pride says, "I deserve it now." Humility says, "Prepare me so I can handle it well." Pride demands the blessing without transformation. Humility welcomes the transformation before the blessing. Look at a seed beneath the ground. For a period of time, nothing appears on the surface. Someone unfamiliar with farming might think nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, something powerful is taking place. Roots are growing. Strength is forming. Preparation is happening. The invisible work comes before the visible harvest. Your life follows the same principle. The seasons when nobody sees you may be the seasons when your greatest growth is happening. The lessons learned in difficulty may become the wisdom needed in prosperity. The character developed in silence may become the foundation of future influence. So do not only ask, "Why has my breakthrough not happened?" Ask a deeper question, "Who am I becoming while I wait?" Are you becoming more disciplined, more generous, more grateful, more faithful? Because abundance is not only about receiving a blessing, it is about becoming a person who can carry that blessing without being controlled by it. When your heart is prepared, your hands can receive. When your character is strengthened, your resources can serve a greater purpose. And when your priorities are aligned, prosperity becomes more than personal gain, becomes a mission. What if the greatest wealth you could ever receive is not found in your bank account, but in the wisdom that guides everything you do with your resources? Many people spend years chasing financial freedom while remaining trapped by poor decisions, uncontrolled desires, and a mindset that keeps them from experiencing true abundance. They want the harvest, but they ignore the principles that produce the harvest. They want the reward, but they avoid the discipline that creates the reward. The Torah teaches that wisdom is more valuable than temporary riches, because wisdom helps you create, protect, and multiply what you receive. Without wisdom, money can disappear quickly. Without character, opportunities can become dangerous. Without humility, success can become a prison disguised as freedom. Imagine a man who inherits a massive fortune but has never learned responsibility. At first, everyone celebrates his new position. He buys expensive things, enjoys attention, and feels unstoppable. But because he never developed discipline, he spends without thinking. Because he never learned stewardship, he wastes without concern. Because he never developed gratitude, he feels entitled. Years later, the fortune is gone. Not because the blessing was too small, but because the person managing it was not prepared. Now imagine someone else who begins with very little, but learns patience, discipline, and wise decision-making. Every small opportunity becomes a lesson. Every mistake becomes instruction. Every resource is handled with care. Over time, this person builds something lasting because the foundation was stronger than the circumstances. This reveals an important truth. Abundance is not attracted only to desire. It is attracted to responsibility. The Creator looks for people who understand that resources are not just for personal comfort. They are tools to solve problems, serve others, create opportunities, and bring positive change into the world. The hidden sin of pride makes people believe they already know enough. It prevents growth because it refuses correction. A proud person cannot be taught because they believe they have nothing to learn. But a humble person remains teachable. They understand that wisdom is a lifelong journey. Ask yourself, are you only seeking blessings, or are you also seeking the wisdom to manage them? Are you asking for increase while ignoring the habits that would protect that increase? Are you praying for more while refusing to improve the way you handle what you already have? A farmer does not complain about a small harvest while refusing to improve his farming methods. He studies, he learns, he adapts, he prepares. In the same way, a person seeking abundance must develop the mindset, discipline, and character that support lasting success. Remember this, money can open doors, but wisdom determines whether you can walk through them successfully. Wealth can create opportunities, but character determines whether those opportunities create lasting impact. The greatest blessing is not simply having more, it is becoming someone who can use more for a greater purpose. What if the greatest proof of true abundance is not what you keep, but what you are willing to give? In a world that constantly teaches people to collect, protect, and accumulate, ancient wisdom reveals a different pathway. The heart that understands abundance does not live with closed fists, it lives with open hands, because the purpose of blessing is never only to benefit one person. A river stays alive because it continues to flow. When water stops moving, it becomes stagnant. In the same way, resources that are only stored for selfish purposes lose their greater meaning. Many people believe generosity is only possible after they become wealthy. They say, when I have more, then I will help more. When I become successful, then I will become generous. But the truth is the opposite. Generosity is not created by wealth. Wealth only reveals the generosity that already exists inside the heart. Think about two people who receive the same opportunity. One immediately asks, how much can I gain from this? The other asks, how much good can come through this? The first person sees resources as a possession. The second sees resources as a responsibility. Both may receive increase, but their outcomes will be completely different because their hearts are operating from different foundations. The Torah teaches principles of caring for others, providing for those in need, and recognizing that blessings carry obligations. This does not mean people should ignore personal responsibility or financial wisdom. It means that success without compassion is incomplete. A person can have impressive achievements and still miss the deeper purpose of prosperity. The hidden sin of selfishness often grows quietly. It begins with small thoughts. I worked for this, so nobody else matters. My comfort is more important than someone else's struggle. My success proves I am better than others. These thoughts slowly create separation between a person and their purpose. But a humble heart understands something powerful. Everything we receive is an opportunity to create impact. Your knowledge can help someone. Your skills can solve problems. Your resources can open doors for others. Your influence can encourage people who have lost hope. Look at a lamp in a dark room. The lamp does not lose its light because it helps others see. In fact, its purpose is fulfilled when its light reaches beyond itself. The same is true with your gifts and blessings. They become more meaningful when they serve a purpose greater than personal gain. Ask yourself today, are you building a life that only benefits you, or are you building a legacy that blesses others? Are your goals only about what you can achieve, or are they also about what you can contribute? True abundance is not measured only by what enters your life. It is measured by what leaves your life and creates transformation. The person who understands this principle discovers a freedom that money alone can never provide. Because the greatest wealth is not owning everything. The greatest wealth is becoming a person through whom goodness can flow. What if the final barrier between you and your next level is not a lack of resources, but a lack of alignment? Many people desire greater abundance, but they continue carrying attitudes, habits, and beliefs that contradict the very blessing they are seeking. They ask for a new season while holding on to the old mindset. They pray for increase while protecting the very behaviors that prevent growth. The journey toward true prosperity requires honesty. It requires looking within and asking difficult questions. Not questions about how much money you have, but questions about who you are becoming. Are you becoming more disciplined, more grateful, more generous, more trustworthy? Because the greatest investment you will ever make is not only in your bank account, it is in your character. Imagine a person trying to fill a container with precious water, but the container has hidden cracks. No matter how much water is poured inside, it slowly disappears. The person may blame the source. They may complain that they are not receiving enough. But the real problem is not the supply. The real problem is what is happening inside the container. Many people do the same with blessings. They blame circumstances, opportunities, or other people, but they never examine the areas within themselves that are leaking away their potential. Lack of discipline can become a crack. Pride can become a crack. Greed can become a crack. A refusal to learn can become a crack. These hidden weaknesses can prevent a person from sustaining what they receive. The ancient wisdom of the Torah teaches that transformation begins from within. External success without internal growth creates imbalance. A person may gain wealth but lose peace. They may gain recognition but lose relationships. They may gain influence but lose integrity. That is not true abundance. True abundance is when your external blessings and internal character grow together. Think about a tree. Nobody celebrates a tree because of its roots. People notice the fruit. But the fruit exists because of what is happening beneath the surface. The roots provide strength, stability, and nourishment. Your character is your root system. Your achievements are your fruit. If the roots are weak, the fruit cannot last. This is why the hidden sin of pride is so dangerous. Pride focuses on appearance instead of foundation. It wants people to see success, but refuses the work required to sustain success. Humility, however, focuses on growth. It welcomes correction. It seeks wisdom. It recognizes that every blessing comes with a responsibility. Today, choose to examine your heart. Release anything that separates you from purpose. Replace greed with gratitude. Replace pride with humility. Replace selfish ambition with meaningful contribution. Because when your heart is aligned, your resources gain direction. When your character is strengthened, your opportunities become safer. And when you understand that abundance is a responsibility, not just a reward, you become prepared for blessings that are greater than anything you imagined. The greatest breakthrough begins when the person inside you becomes ready for the future ahead of you. What if the greatest financial breakthrough you are searching for begins with a transformation that no one else can see? Before the world notices your success, before opportunities multiply, before your influence expands, there is a private work that must happen inside your heart. The greatest victories are often won in places where nobody is watching. They happen in your thoughts, your decisions, your discipline, and your relationship with the Creator. The journey to true abundance was never only about money. Money is simply a reflection of deeper principles. It reveals how you think, what you value, and what controls your heart. The person who allows pride, greed, or selfishness to lead will eventually discover that even great wealth cannot create lasting fulfillment. But the person who chooses humility, wisdom, and gratitude builds something far greater than financial success. They build a life of purpose. Remember this powerful truth: the blessing is not the danger. The danger is forgetting the purpose behind the blessing. Resources are not meant to replace your values. They are meant to strengthen your ability to live them. Influence is not meant to elevate your ego. It is meant to increase your ability to serve. Wealth is not meant to separate you from people. It is meant to create solutions, opportunities, and positive change. Look back at the lessons we have uncovered. The hidden enemy is not money itself. The problem begins when the heart starts worshipping what the hands have received. When possessions become identity, When success becomes pride, and when achievement becomes the source of confidence, the foundation begins to weaken. But when gratitude remains, when humility remains, and when wisdom guides every decision, abundance becomes a powerful tool for good. The question you must answer is simple but powerful. If the Creator trusted you with greater resources tomorrow, would your heart be ready today? Would you use increase only for yourself, or would you become a person through whom others are blessed? Would you chase recognition, or would you pursue purpose? Your future is not built only by what you earn. It is built by who you become. The greatest wealth is a heart that remains faithful when blessings increase. The greatest success is a life that carries prosperity without losing compassion. The greatest abundance is not having everything for yourself, but having enough wisdom, love, and purpose to make everything you receive meaningful. So examine your heart, release pride, choose gratitude, practice generosity, seek wisdom. Become the person capable of carrying the blessing you are asking for. And if this message challenged your thinking, do not stop here. Continue growing, continue learning, and continue seeking deeper truths about purpose, faith, discipline, and success. Watch the next message, because the next lesson may reveal the mindset shift that unlocks the next level of your journey.